I'm going to talk about the inadequacy of economic theories of growth. It is based on the book written by on the theory of social change by Everett Hagen. One of the ways of thinking of growth after the Second World War was assumed that any barriers to growth that might exist are economic areas, and that the process of economic growth is educatedly dealt with economic analysis alone. One of the reasons to adopt this approach was to assume that all individuals in every society seek higher income, so there seems no reason why people everywhere should not be improving production techniques and rapidly. But they are not. Hence, there must be some barriers which prevent them from doing so. These are socio-cultural factors. Each phase of development, people learn a lot from low-level income countries as well as high-income level of countries. So, a question comes out in mind. After the Second World War, some countries experience development. In 1990s, some others experience in a different way. So, what has changed so far? How policies change? We now understand is that economic growth is solely not economic way, unless we sufficiently focus on socio-cultural aspects of regions. Firstly, let me start with vicious circle of low income and uneducated saving. According to this theory, capital formation is impossible because of low income. When we consider the agricultural sector in developing world, this definition exactly finds a meaning for itself. There is a dominant vicious circle of low production and no surpluses for economic investment. The low real income is a reflection of low productivity, which in turn is due largely to the lack of capital. The lack of capital is a result of the small capacity to save, and so the circle is complete. A large plant will not be more economic until the management of new relationships has been mastered in that factory. The second is the lump of capital argument. Economic growth is asserted that it can go forward only when certain type of capital known as social overhead capital or infrastructure are present. Economic growth is blocked because low-income countries cannot afford the large lump of investment needed to complete large projects, and because large projects are a necessary base for other projects. So the argument runs. In evaluating this argument, it is necessary to distinguish among three statements. Concerning first proposition, there can be little dispute. The possible stimulus to other industries of transport and power facilities is beyond question. Concerning the second and third proposition, however, there is reason to be skeptical. The last one is the thesis of need for a big push. If it were true that income in underdeveloped societies is too low to permit saving and the market too small to justify investment, and in addition that large social overhead capital projects are a necessary base for technological progress, then it would be followed that only a massive program to construct social overhead capital and to introduce income raising projects all over the economy at once can get growth underway. If technological creativity is absence in a society, the big push will be impossible. This is very important point. So, in developing world, there need to be a technological creativity among society. Population and economic growth. When we look at the population and economic growth, we see that the pertinent fact is that, however low the quantity of resources per person, the present level of living is being obtained from the with primitive techniques and instruments. With improved technology, the same resources will yield greater output, higher yields per acre, more water power, more tons of coal per man year, more raw materials for industry per year. A resource poor country may, at each stage of its history, have a lower level of living than a richer country can enjoy with the same ingenuity. But conclude, therefore, that the resource poor country cannot steadily improve its income per person is to indulge in confusion. Lastly, I would like to highlight the origins of doctrines of peculiar barriers. The doctrines of peculiar barriers have two elements in common. They all assume that the central problem in growth is capital formation, and they all assume that sufficient technological creativity to carry forward economic growth is present in all societies. At this point, we can quote a sentence from Schumpeter. Schumpeter said, "The slow and continuous increase in time of the national supply of productive means and saving is obviously an important factor in explaining the course of economic history through the centuries, but it is completely overshadowed by the fact that development consists primarily in employing existing resources in a different way, in doing new things with them, irrespective of whether these resources increase or not." In conclusion, the Everett stated that the most conspicuous economic theories are the doctrines of peculiar barriers. He highlighted that these theories are more or less representative in the sense that other economic theories are also particularistics and subject to somewhat similar objectives.